If I started Call of Dragons today, I would play completely differently. I wasted resources, invested in things too early, and made lot of mistakes that slowed down my account progression for months and months. So in this video, I will show you exactly what I would do from day one if I had to restart Call of Dragons and if I had to start over. First of all, I would say the biggest question which I wanted to answer if I started again would be, what would I choose if I started again? Ranged or melee, right? Ranged are archers and mages. Melee are, of course, infantry and cavalry, right? Both of them has some advantages and some disadvantages, but I think that's the most important question which every single player should ask whenever they are starting Call of Dragons again or they are just total beginners. This is probably the hardest decision I would make if I started today. Do I stay ranged like I did before, or do I build a melee, because late game melee feels much stronger, right? As a ranged player, I love the playstyle. You can deal a lot of damage from a safe distance by understanding position, punish bad positioning, and big fights, ranged marches can feel amazing. But if I'm being honest, late game melee feels much stronger in many situations, right? Melee is much better when fights get messy, right? In late game, fights are not always clean. People use blink artifacts, they jump, they put their infantries on top of your head, which is impossible for ranged players to move around. We have many different artifacts in the game for survivability, for offensive gameplay, especially amazing for melee players, such as infantry and cavalry, right? They are more tanky, they can survive much longer, and what can I say, they are way more easy to play, especially infantry. Might not be the case in terms of cavalry players, because they have to understand the positioning. If they go in, it's impossible for them to go out, so understanding the game for cavalry players can be different and difficult. Especially for beginners. But for the infantry, I would say infantry gameplay might be one of the most easiest gameplay which we have in the game, right? You just have to understand how to push, when to defend, and how to use your blink artifacts, right? Not only blink artifacts, but also some Shield of Stubbornness, Spirit Bone Torque, and we know that in Call of Dragons, without infantry heroes and infantry players, it would be impossible for alliances to win the wars, to take behemoths, and be good alliance in terms of open field PvP, right? So you can understand it's basically impossible to be a good alliance without having good infantry players. And that's also a big plus, right? Because in alliance, everybody wants to have good infantry players, which means even if you are a beginner, even if you are in the late game, you are always a necessity, right? Everybody would want to play with you if you are infantry player and if you understand how you can actually progress through with your alliance members as an infantry main. I understand for beginners being infantry main was not really a suitable choice because we never had amazing infantry heroes for our gameplay, right? But from season to season, we see that infantries are getting more and more powerful, more tanky, more damage dealing infantry heroes such as Joran, such as Kuma, Goresh Kogul, Elanir. Basically, they are getting better and better. That's the reason why I wanted to make this video, right? Like, if I started this game again, would I still choose archers or would I choose mages? Or would I go for being infantry main, right? We know that infantry and in general melee gameplay is more reliable, right? Only difference and only disadvantage which I feel infantry players and cavalry players are having is that you need to have a lot of troops, because generally it will be impossible for you to fight in open field PvP without having a lot of severely wounded troops, which means you will want to have a lot of troops in your arsenal, right? And that's basically really hard, especially if you are starting. But I believe after watching this video, you will understand that if you are in the late game and you have a lot of troops, even the Garwoods and even the Madeleines and even the early game infantry heroes will do its job, right? Until you will get some more powerful infantry heroes, and then your gameplay will totally change. Of course, addition of the warpets made the infantry more tanky and made them deal more damage, but that's not only the case, right? It's about gameplay, which is totally different in terms of ranged versus melee. So hopefully, well, if I started this game again, I would say I might have gone to be melee player. I would not say I would be a cavalry player, but I would say I might have gone to be infantry player, because as a content creator who wants to do a lot of live streams, who is trying to stream, record videos, fight well, get a lot of merits, I believe in my case infantry would be much suitable decision for my gameplay, because I would give enough attention towards chat, I would give enough attention towards making a good video, and I would give less attention towards being a good player in terms of easier gameplay, in terms of infantry, in terms of melee against ranged players, right? So basically, that's the most important question which everybody should answer when you start the game. If I started this game again and I would restart, I would have gone as an infantry main. But of course, there are also way more factors which we have to speak in terms of starting over, and I will give you some tips which are important tips which everybody should know if you are starting the game or if you are doing a restart, right? So one of the most important tips is joining the right alliance, right? At first you might say, why I need good alliance, right? Why I need to be in alliance which is active, which is going to give you amazing amount of gifts whenever they are purchasing some bundles. That's not only it, right? You can see it would be impossible, especially as a free-to-play player, to get VIP points in-game, gems, some speed-ups. Let's go. We can check what else you can see. More speed-ups, treaties, arrows, which are always important for free-to-play players to unlock tier 5 troops. Basically, the rewards which you are getting by being in a correct alliance is just too much, right? So when you start the game, just give it enough attention to decide if you are joining the right alliance, right? Not only because of the rewards. Also, you're gonna capture a lot of behemoths in this game, and without correct alliance, it will be impossible for you to even defeat these behemoths because they are just too strong. And of course, it's impossible for you to actually defeat the behemoths without the alliance, and without the alliance who knows how to play this game, which is really important, right? Sometimes when people are speaking about alliances, they only mention that well, good alliance means great amount of gifts. That's not the main point, right? Main point is that with your alliance you are going to fight. This is the war game. This is not 1 versus 1 duel game. You have to have your ally members who understand how to fight, how to take behemoths, how to purchase even some bundles, and they will help you and they will guide you by your progression, giving you some tips. And in general, I believe kingdom builder games are amazing whenever there is a huge community inside the game. And I believe it's impossible to have a good community without having a good alliance and good alliance members. I can say honestly, currently I'm in an amazing alliance. I know that a lot of players are texting me if I like City of Moria or not. I can say honestly, this is one of the best times I have ever had in terms of alliance. I know KVK wasn't really fun, but I'm looking at the alliance, looking at the chat, how people are speaking with each other, and I can honestly say that City of Moria have been one of the best alliances which I have been in my 1000 days, more than 1000 days of gameplay, right? So choose your alliance, choose correctly. If you understand that you made a mistake, it's better to repair your mistake and change alliance than staying in a wrong alliance for your own gameplay. Other than that, without alliances, this game would die really, really easily. Second tip and second topic which we have to mention is that, especially if you start the game and you are a beginner, even if you are restarting, you have to pick one main march, right? For example, for myself, as an archer player, my main march was always, of course, archers, and it was my Kinara and my Nico, right? This was my main march for at least 6 months to 1 year. Basically, Nico was gold his hero, Kinara was lucky spins hero. I was putting Kinara on a VIP daily tokens and I was getting Nico's tokens from the gold keys, right? This is how I built my first ever awakened hero. And basically, if you don't have at least one march, no matter if you are mage main, archer, infantry or cavalry, and you are spreading your resources everywhere, unfortunately you won't gonna have at least one good hero pair. Nowadays, having heroes 5-1-1-1 won't gonna do the work, right? Because almost everybody is having awakened heroes, and not even awakened heroes, right? They are having maxed out artifacts, maxed out warpets, and if you are fighting against them with like 5-5-1-1, like 5-3-4-2 skill level heroes, unfortunately, your merits won't gonna be satisfying for you and not for anybody, right? That's why, especially for beginners, focus on your first march. Whenever you're gonna awaken both of the legendary heroes, then you can actually move to different heroes and you can start investing to your second march. This is really, really crucial, and I hope you guys are going to take this advice by heart and use it in your gameplay, right? Because if you are going to put some tokens here, unfortunately you won't gonna have good legendary heroes. But also we have to understand that this game can have 5 marches at the same time, so slowly you have to build second march, third march, fourth and fifth, and meanwhile new heroes are coming to the game. So focus on one march. If you are a marksman, you have Kinara Nico as your first march. If you are infantry, you have Garwood and Madeline. If you are cavalry, one of the best, Emrys and Bakshi. For magic, well, Lilia Wellin. If not, Waldrian Wellin can do the job, especially during the beginning when you have limited amount of heroes in your arsenal, right? And the next topic goes perfectly well towards this hero topic, because you should not waste hero investment legendary tokens, right? One of the best rewards in Call of Dragons, in my opinion, and it's been like this for a while, is legendary hero tokens. These are one of the rarest rewards in the game, and these rewards are giving you the highest amount of progression and power up in terms of having fun in the game. So you have to understand how you can utilize hero tokens in the game, right? So the reason why it's important to understand one march perfectly and build one march, that's how you're gonna manage your resources, your legendary tokens in a much better state, right? Focus on one march, because if you're gonna spread around your legendary tokens on every single new hero, and I understand when new heroes are coming to the Call of Dragons, everybody wants to have the newest heroes. Because they are new heroes are generally having a new features, and of course if somebody is having a new legendary heroes, you want to have them also, right? But for a free-to-play player, that's basically impossible. You have to play patience game, right? Finish your main march and then decide if you want to go for a newest heroes or you want to go for the old ones, which is suitable for your account. So the number 3 tip: don't waste hero investment legendary hero tokens. They are really crucial. So yeah, that's like 2 most important tips which I can give, and which I wish I knew when I started this game like almost 3 years ago, right? Because I made these mistakes. Like I was archer main, I was putting my legendary tokens on Welin, I was putting some tokens on Emrys, I was putting some tokens on Bakshi. But in like 3 or 4 months in the gameplay, I understood that I was making a mistake and I went full mode in terms of archer heroes. The reason why I'm speaking like this, because I don't want you to make same mistakes in Call of Dragons. The number 4 tip, which is of course important, is artifacts, right? Let's say at the start, artifacts are not the most important feature of this game, but they are really, really important. I would not say it's like top 1 and top 2 most important additions and most important items in the game, but of course, if you're gonna start the game and you will have the clear idea which artifacts you want to invest, will be easy, right? I would say don't go and don't use all of your gems in your artifacts. At first, utilize the artifact draws, because here are some artifacts which can be really, really useful no matter which kind of troop type you are playing, right? Like for example, for archers, here we have Shadow Blades, Heart of Gamasi. These are really, really strong artifacts for archer gameplay. For mages, you have Phoenix Eye, you have Tiara of Arbon, one offensive, one defensive, really, really strong artifacts. For the infantry mains, we have Deathless Wine, Greymer's Warhammer, Fang of Ashkari. I preferably always prefer to have defensive artifacts on my infantry, but also for infantry, Storm Arrows, for some blink gameplay. Basically, don't underestimate these normal draws, especially at the start, right? Here are really, really strong artifacts. For cavalry, Kingslayer, Storm Arrows, Sorland's Blade. Basically, for every single troop type in normal draws, there is 1, 2, sometimes even 3 artifacts which can be useful even in late game, right? Because you have to understand that treaties and arrows will require you to have a lot of gems, because at some point, trust me, you will have to spend your gems to get treaties, you will have to spend your gems to get arrows, you will have to spend gems to unlock second builder queue, which is really, really important. I think it's cost 5,000 gems, and you will have to spend some gems in order for you to get to VIP level 8, in order for you to unlock second research queue, right? Because, well, what's better? Researching one research or researching 2 research at the same time. Same goes for the construction and buildings in Call of Dragons. I believe doing 2 things at the same time will be much, much better in terms of your progression in the game. So we have a perfect segue with the 5th tip: build economy first, because without good economy, you will have a lot of troubles. You won't gonna have enough resources, because production in this game is quite good, right? So give your attention towards economy 3. Economy doesn't only mean that you're gonna have a lot of resources or gathering time. No, it's not only regarding that. You will have more SP recovery, which means you're gonna defeat more Darklings. Darklings give you arrows. You will have more research speed by Scholarship 1, Scholarship 2, and Scholarship 3. You can see 50% research speed. You will have more reduction in terms of building constructions by Architecture 2, like 35% building speed, right? Imagine you are doing like 100-day research without scholarships unlocked to the maximum. You are doing 100-day city town hall constructions without having minus, like plus 35% building speed increase, right? It would require you too much time to finish your progression researches or buildings. That's why economy technology is not only about gathering speed, it's not only about mana production or ore production, right? They are the least important researchers in economy technology. Most important are research, speed increase, building increase, and then of course you're gonna go for the SP recovery increases, because without XP you won't gonna take rally forts, you won't gonna defeat darklings, and trust me, it will put your progression really really slow, because you want to basically catch up to players who are spending money in the game, and it's especially at the start of the game that's really really crucial. Tip number 6: don't chase power the wrong way, right? This number is just a number. 109 million is just a number. It doesn't mean that I have a strong account. It doesn't mean I have a weak account or average, right? What actually matters is that where your power is actually coming, right? If you wanna invest legendary tokens in every single hero, of course you will have more power, because you will have them spread, right? If you're gonna increase, if you're gonna put talents on every single hero, yeah, you're gonna have higher power. If you're gonna put war pets and artifacts on some random heroes, of course your power will increase. But in reality, that power is not the strength of your account. It's just a number which gonna show you whenever somebody is clicking on your city, and they will think that if you have 100 million, 50 million, or 65 million power, you have a strong alliance. No, that's totally false. It's a biggest mistake even some alliance leaders are making when they are only looking at the power of your alliance, of the account, right? What actually matters is that, do you have your legendary tokens invested in your correct heroes? Do you have troops, enough troops to fight? That's like biggest idea of power. I believe if you have a lot of troops, you should have a lot of power, right? But at the same time, you have to know how to use those troops, right? So don't really go for power increase, especially at the start of the game. Understand that power is just a number, and you should understand that putting your resources in the correct items and correct features of the game will be the beneficiary for you in a long run, right? I have seen 60, 50 million, 90 million power players who are having higher merits than 200 million players, right? And of course, being active player, I would not really say much. You have to be active in this game. So, as I mentioned, let's say you have a lot of troops, right? And with a lot of troops, here comes 6th tip, which is important for everybody, especially at the start of the game. You have to learn fighting early. Most important, don't feed. I believe if you are a ranged player, understanding how ranged players' gameplay should be played should be crucial for you, right? If you choose to be a ranged player, you should play defensive. Defensive gameplay should be your main priority. The longer you're gonna survive in open field PvP, much more merits you are going to get. This is the idea I have after playing this game for 3 years, that ranged troop types are defensive troop types. Melee troop types such as cavalry and infantry, they are more offensive troop types, right? You might say, how? Melees are having more tankiness, more defensive stats, ranged are having more attack. But it's basically correct, but in reality it's opposite, right? If you are a melee player, infantry or cavalry, if you are not offensive, if you are not aggressive, you won't gonna get merits. If you are not looking forward for perfect blinks, if you are not looking forward to cutting your enemies when they are retreating, by just playing defensively, you won't gonna do much. But if you are playing defensive gameplay with your archers, with your mages, waiting for your opponents to come closer to you, since you are having one of the lowest march speed in terms of troop types in the game, then you are making a big mistake, right? Imagine you are mage main, you have such a low amount of march speed that you want to be aggressive. You want to catch somebody, and out of nowhere, cavalry 5 march with like twice as much march speed rushing on top of you, or some big infantry players running using blinks, counts. Yeah, that's your offensive gameplay for mages, right? That's why I always say ranged players should be defensive players, melee players should be offensive players, right? And one of the last tips which I want to make is that what I would avoid completely, right? This is the mistakes which I have done by myself and I want to share. As I already mentioned, investing in wrong heroes. For every troop type, there is some important heroes which you have to invest. For mages, Welin, Youngming, Gromara, if you are paid to play, Lilia, right? For marksmen, Magwat, Zaida, Ruby, Island, and in between you can put Sibyl. I know for the beginning you're gonna have Kinara or Nico, but I'm saying most important heroes. For infantry, Goresh, Skogul, Kuma, Joren. These are the OP heroes for infantry. For cavalry, Emrys, Urag, Neya. Of course, there are some heroes which are really good, but I'm saying most important PvP heroes which you will use in the future. So these are the heroes where if you're gonna put your tokens, good job. For artifacts, don't put levels on every single artifact which you are not actually using. You are infantry, get Spiritbound Torque, get Shield of Stubbornness. For archers, get Gilded Crossbow, get Roaring Rager. For mages, Phoenix Eye is great. The Dragon's Fate for the Young Ming, also great. Lilia's Artifact is also good. For the cavalry players, Storm Arrows. Let me check more cavalry artifacts, by the way, because I'm actually not the cavalry player. I should not really know all the cavalry artifacts by like that. So Storm Arrows, Kingslayer is great. Spring Blades, one of the best mass PvP artifacts. Lunaris, right? Lunaris, you want to be invisible as a cavalry player. So basically, even in artifacts, you should not put your artifact levels on everything because you will need them, right? Also, don't use your gems on everything, on every single event in this game, because gems are one of the most valuable currency in this game, right? So basically, understanding where to put gems is crucial. Get second builder, get second research queue. Try to get as much arrows as possible, as much treaties as possible, because if you don't have watchtower and rally building to 25, it will be impossible for you to actually unlock tier 5. Plus, when you're gonna increase levels to buildings from 24 to 25, you will need to have 2k gems for the blueprint, right? So another important gem spending ability which you have to have in your mind. Basically, understand what's the most crucial ways of spending gems. Not every single event is important for you, especially when you start the game. So try to gather gems, understand where to spend it, because this is one of the most important mistake which I have done myself, and a lot of players are doing this mistake, especially during the beginning, right? I want to give you a small final restart roadmap, right? From day 1 to day 7. Join Active Alliance. In day 1, you have to join Active Alliance. Focus on economy. It's crucial from day 1 to day 7. Choose main march early game. I already said which marches are great for a single march, right? Build one strong march. At least at first we have to choose, then we have to build it, right? Only choosing won't gonna do much. Save gold heads, especially universal legendary tokens. Here, right from VIP daily reset, you will get legendary hero tokens, and you have to save them until you will decide where you're gonna put them, right? Upgrade useful artifacts. This is the important steps for the day 1 to day 7. In the mid game, start understanding how to prepare for carry K, because without good preparation you will miss out a lot. Understand how to fight and learn how to fight when the KVK is already on the way. And of course, follow your alliance strategy. Every single alliance is having different strategies around the KVKs, so you have to be as a one unit with your alliance. For the long term, invest only in heroes and artifacts which is going to stay valuable. That's why for marksmen, Margaret, Zaida, Rubik Island will be always valuable. For cavalry, Emrys, Bakshi, and Neya
Emrys, Urag, and Neya will be always valuable. For infantry, Gore, Skogul, Kuma, Joran will always be valuable. For mages, Lilia, Youngming, Welin, Gomara will be always valuable. So basically, understanding most valuable investments for your gameplay will be the most valuable. So basically, I have been thinking of restart if I have done something different, and I basically shared all my thoughts and ideas what I would have done differently if I started Call of Dragons today, or if I wanted to do a restart and I wanted to change everything, right? So basically, these are the tips and ideas which I have for beginners or for the restart players. As always, if you like the video, press like, subscribe, share. It always gives me more and more motivation to make more content for this game. I wish everybody amazing day, morning and night. We are going to see each other really soon. Bye bye and good luck.